Rural Heritage on RFD TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com.
Hi, I'm Joe Mishka. Welcome to another episode of Rural Heritage TV.
Larry Jollisant of Plantersville, Texas, had always wanted to make a trip across the Texan landscape in a covered wagon pulled by a 4-up of mules, sleeping under the stars, cooking meals over a campfire, and calling the road home for almost 3 weeks. He'd done a lot of miles in the past on wagon rides, but never alone and never for such a long trip. On March 3, 2025, Larry set out from his home of Plantersville and arrived in Bandera, Texas on March 20th after traveling about 255 miles. In addition to checking this experience off his bucket list, Larry wants to raise funds for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital along the way. The fundraiser is still active. To make a donation, visit www.cowboyslastride.org.
I've always did a lot of different things in life, and this is something that I wanted to do. And so after I kind of retired, well, I decided now's the time to do it. If I'm ever going to do it, I got to do it now, So, and it's very different. And I decided I was going to do this. Why don't I try to just raise some money for them children who's got cancer, and it's just in my heart to do that, This will be the longest ride I ever done. It's gonna get really hairy. Gonna get very interesting before we get where we're going. Yeah. When I leave here, I won't be coming back till I get through. Yeah. I mean, no matter how much I like it or don't like it, that's what's gonna happen. Yeah. I mean, that's what happened. That's what happened 100 years ago. I mean, they didn't go back home. They didn't go back home to get something to eat or get some feed or hay.
Yeah.
They had it with them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it my best shot.
A couple of things worth mentioning here. For most of the ride, the mules pulled the 8-wheel covered wagon with no assistance. As they got closer to Bandera, however, the terrain changed, so the group was going up and down the Texas foothills. On gravel or dirt, the mules would have had little problem hauling the load up the hills and holding it back on the way down. But because they were on blacktop and concrete, Larry was worried they could slip and injure themselves, despite the fact they wore shoes tacked with boreum for traction. So to help the mules work in the hill country, Larry hooked an iron pole from the back of a trailer to the end of the tongue between the wheel team of mules. Once they were out of the hill country, the pole came off. Another nod to safety was the fact that 2 men drove the hitch. One drove the leaders and another drove the wheelers. This was particularly critical when they were hooked to the trailer ahead of them. Larry explains here his thinking. Forgive the quality of the audio.
There's the ball I put on the back of it right there.
Yep.
Because I was really going to push it.
All right.
What I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking about it. I mean, the middle of the night you wake up, ain't nothing bothering you, things are still. You figure things out,
Yes, sir.
Like when I was moving houses, like big houses, wide, tall, all the way. So then I told my buddies did well, and I said, only put a little trail wheel on here in case I want to pull the wagon. He said, well, I think you probably don't want to push the wagon and all that. And I agreed with him. So I stepped on that right, and I got to thinking about it. I was telling the boys, I said, we're going to pull that wagon all of it. Way 1 degree. I said, yeah. I said, let me tell you what. If we push it I got to coordinate with the man in the truck. I got to coordinate with 2 folks in the wagon right here. I got to coordinate with 2 folks on the horses. And everybody's got to move up at the same time.
Right.
Well, that truck ain't gonna travel. That truck ain't gonna know when he's pushing that wagon over a horse or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Right.
Well, what are you saying now?
Also, what are you saying?
I said, we're gonna pull the wagon. We're gonna pull the wagon. I said, that way, I got 1 man in control, and that's me. I'm gonna get in that truck and I'm gonna set it about 3 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour. And that's what we're gonna stay at. And I tried to stay where it was a 3-lane or a 4-lane. That way I can put them cars around me and I'm not holding them up.
You don't back up. Yeah.
So we have been very, very successful at that, you know.
A couple days outside of Bandera, where he was to finish his ride, one of Larry's lead mules threw a shoe, and he decided both lead mules needed to be reshod. Their shoes, new at the start of the ride, had worn through, so the nail heads in the shoe crease were being ground off. The borium was completely gone. Remember, Larry is from Plantersville, over 200 miles away, so he had to find a new horseshoer to do the job. Compounding the problem, mule hooves are shaped differently from a horse's, so require a differently shaped shoe with side clips. By the time they found a horseshoer to do the work, Larry had lost a full day on the ride. You've known Larry a long time?
About 50 years.
Okay, all right. Y'all done a lot of stuff together,
We
probably.
have.
Yeah. What kind of things did you guys, I mean, there was a lot of stuff to worry about and think about while you were doing this. What are some of the big ones?
The big ones was the traffic, making sure, that they stayed as far away as we could keep them from the wagon and mules, because you never know what's going to spook a horse or a mule. And but thank God we made it safely and nobody got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about bomb-proof mules and horses and that, but that's just asking for trouble.
That's just talk.
Yeah, right.
You
A
can
wasp or something can put a mule
Anything.
up in the air.
And what's crazy about it is these teams had no experience with jake brakes from trucks, overpasses, train horns, none of that, and they did excellent. They really did.
Any particular notable event during the last couple of weeks that you can think of?
No, the younger ones were playing little tricks on each other, hanging their saddle in the trees and stuff, but same thing we used to do when we were younger.
Yeah, okay,
But,
that's cool.
No, I think everybody did an excellent job, and it was for a great cause, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Jason was telling me that you've put on a lot of miles for a 250-mile trip.
Yeah.
A couple thousand.
Yeah.
Those miles were scouting the route ahead.
Right.
Yeah, looking for.
Scouting the ride ahead, bringing some of the riders back to get their vehicles to move camp up. But yeah, I put quite a few miles on that old truck of mine.
Yeah. I think that's all that I need. Is there something you want to say that I didn't ask about?
Thank you for covering us, I love what St. Jude does for families, and that's why I participated.
You're driving. Which are you? The leaders or the wheelers?
The Wheelers.
How's that been going?
Been going really good. Had a few obstacles, but we got around them though.
The team, the mules have been working good for you.
They've been working really good, exceptionally good.
Probably better every day.
Yes, better every day, and I was surprised how these young mules, if they get hung up on something, they just wait right there instead of tearing something up, waiting for somebody to come and get them untangled.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah, it's great.
That means they got trust in you.
They got a lot
trust in the driver and the people around them.
You have to have trust in each other.
Exactly right.
You got to work together as a team.
If you telegraph uncertainty or hesitation or just nervousness, they'll feel it.
We feel it from them, or they feel it from us.
Exactly. Yep.
And they learn your voice too.
Right.
A little over about a year ago, I guess, I seen Larry. We was at a friend of ours' funeral, and he was asking me about it and asked me about some help, and I told him I'd help him do it. So here I am.
Yeah. So it's his bucket list. This must be kind of fun for you too.
Yeah, Larry's a great guy. Love him, and we're good friends, and so I told him I'd help him.
Yeah.
Whatever he needed me to do.
Yeah, he is a great guy.
A lot of experience, really smart guy.
Before the ride, I asked Larry why he wanted to do this.
You know, that's something that I wanted to do for the last 20, 30 years and never and didn't get the opportunity to do it. And now at 82, I can afford to do it, and I got the time. So I want to live the life that they did a long time ago, just to see how it was. You know,
How many hours do you think you guys drove?
Oh, geez, I drove every day, anywhere from 12 to 19 miles a day, and sometimes we were doing 3.5, 4 miles an hour. So that averages out anywhere about 6 hours a day, roughly.
Every day?
Every day.
Day after day?
Day after day.
Yeah.
About 2.5 weeks.
It kind of wears you out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to pay attention to.
A lot to pay attention to.
It's not like out on the open plain where you kind of just go.
Correct.
Here you got a lot of other stuff to worry about.
Lots of traffic, yes.
People mostly good about it?
So far, mostly all the
We didn't hear a lot of
people are good.
complaints. A lot of fast cars passing you by,
Yeah.
but
Right, yeah.
Luckily, there was very few that were a little bit upset about it, but mainly everybody was waving and videoing and hollering and clapping, and
Yeah.
it was a good ride. You know, by the end of the ride, the mules know you, you know the mules, and we know each other in camp a little bit better. Pray to God that the money that Larry was able to get together and raise helps a lot of kids at St. Jude and saves some lives.
well, we just want to thank everybody that did support St. Jude and supported us for what we did today. It's a way of life that we cherish and we love.
So was it what you expected?
Yes, everything that went, everything that's done is kind of what I expected. Had a few little bumps in the road right there, but it worked out all right. Didn't expect to have to reshoe them again before I got here, but you know, this big wagon weighs 4,000, and it's a 8-wheel log wagon, and so you know, it takes a lot of pulling to get where it needs to go. You know.
You fitted up this wagon for this ride. It had been a straight up log wagon, right?
This was a log wagon that come out of the Navasota River bottom. It belonged to a director in the bank that I was at named Harry Moore. And so originally I wanted to buy the wagon, and so I couldn't buy the wagon. He said it ain't for sale. He said, well, I'm gonna let you use it. When you get through, bring it back. So
You're not done yet.
no. I bought the 5-year-old set of mules in Hoover, Tennessee at the auction.
Right.
And I bought the other two, bought the young pair, bought them in Kentucky. I got them last year.
Who'd you get them from? Do you remember?
I bought them from Hoover auction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All 4 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. They come to you a little broke, mostly broke.
Well, the big pair had been working to a silage wagon where they load silage and pull it out there and undo it and hook up to another. And the young pair, I don't know what they had been worked to, but you know, it's just bred in them to be able to work right and all that, you know. And we feed cookies and we pet them every day, and so, you know, it ain't like they was wild and crazy, you know. But really overall, it really worked out great. It really did. I mean, for the mules, you know, to get them, see them get all tangled up and twisted up and not go crazy, that was a miracle.
So that lead team is kind of on its own up there.
They are on its own, yeah.
You kind of have to hope for the best and keep them going.
Yeah. Yeah, they're on their own pretty well, yeah. So if they want to go left or right and they get ready to go, they can go left or right unless they just want to stay straight.
The mules did really well. They
Yes,
looked like
they did.
in really good shape.
Yes, they did, yeah.
They might even be a little bit better fleshed than when I saw them back at the end of February. I mean, they didn't lose a pound.
No, the mules didn't. No, they didn't lose a pound, and none got crippled, none got hurt. They got tangled up several times. They should have got hurt. They should have, but you know, it's just bred in them not to be crazy, and you know, and so no, I'm very happy with the mules. Yeah.
How old are you, Larry?
82.
So that's kind of crazy what you're doing here. You're supposed to be sitting in a easy chair watching football games.
Well, I watched a little football, but I guess just being busy and trying to stay busy. I worked all my day, 7 days a week, and I got a little sick here last year, but me and that recliner didn't get along very well. We did for a week or so, but you know, just didn't me to get out and want to do things and, you know, move around, work. I got a big shop and all that. So.
And you've most of your time you've had your own business. Is that right?
I have worked for myself all my life. Yeah, we was in a dairy business. I spent 25 years in a dairy business. Spent 50 years in the house moving business. Spent 15 years of that 50 farming on the side. Spent 25 of that 50 in the restaurant business. So, you know.
That's a lot of different kind of skills.
Well, it is, yeah. Yeah. Yes, you have to have a positive outlook in life if you're ever going to go anywhere, do anything. I don't care if you're young or old. Yeah. No, we don't. We're not nothing negative. If I'm around somebody negative, I get up and move. That's not my style.
Yeah. I mean, there must have been times when maybe somebody else would have said, this is too much trouble where we're at right now. Let's just say we did good with what we did, and now let's go home and quit the trip early. But there was never a time like that.
No. I thought about it before I left, though, about it might be an end to it pretty quick. But that all goes back to that positive attitude, you know. So you got to have that, you know. And it was a little bit touchy sleeping out. Matter of fact, last night was one of them, and that wind got about 45, 50 miles an hour. I thought maybe I was going to be laying over that wagon without a top on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it was cold last night.
Yes, it was. Yeah, but the wind kind of laid down, and it did pretty good. But,
yeah,
we managed to cook out and sleep out a little bit, and everything worked out great. Yeah, I couldn't ask for any better.
You got a lot of good friends. You got a bunch of friends here.
Yeah. I made a lot of friends on this ride, you know, got something to do with St. Jude and all that, you know.
I can't listen. So
Why St. Jude's? Why raise money for a hospital?
okay.
Well, I've seen a lot of cancer around, and I watch a lot of RFD, and I've seen them kids on there, you know. And I've done a lot of donating over the years. I spent 45 years with a director in the bank named Tommy Shimshak that started doing some auctions in St. Mary's Church in Plantersville, Texas, where I live, and St. Joseph's Church in Stoneham, Texas, and a little fireman's bazaar out there. And he started doing auctions, and I didn't have any idea that was his first time. Well, I started buying toys and getting them to the kids and doing all them kind of things, and didn't no certain kid. If I thought the toy fit the kid, I'd give it to the kid. And I'd done that 45 years. Well, we did this as something that I wanted to do many years ago, and I couldn't afford it. When I could afford it, I didn't have time, and so now I've managed to kind of retire, and I had a little money and I had a little time, and so something I wanted to do. And in the meanwhile, I kind of watched it on RFD TV, and I thought I might do something for St. Jude. So my goal was to put $1 million together for St. Jude for the Texas Children's Cancer Hospital.
This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027 or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of Back to the Land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.